Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for some more tag time. The tags we created the other day using all manner of distress sprays, distress spray stains, distress mica stains, distress oxide sprays. I'll link that video in the description below. Are going to take the next step, or at least two of them are. I think it's going to be these two first, and the others will have to wait their turn. And I've just, again, as usual, pulled a few things that caught my imaginative creative eye this morning as I was moving around the craft room tidying things up. So I've got some glass pebbles that I think we're going to glue down onto various bits of vintage paper. Maybe there'll be some photos in there. I think there's almost certainly going to be some transparent moths. I found these curtain rings, Czech curtain rings, that go over the pole and then the curtain hangs down from there. I'm thinking they might be quite fun. And I've got some other Idea-ology bits and pieces and some stamps, some little stamps to just add detail. This, I'm hoping, will be quite a quick video because when you've got a background this good, look at that shimmer. That's the mica stain in there. And yeah, just a glow from the translucent inks on that one. They're both on the manila tags. They really don't want covering up very much. I would hate to lose all these gorgeous, amazing spattered textures. So it's going to be minimal, and I think it's going to be moth time. I'm virtually certain it's going to be moth time, and it's whether it's a whole moth or half a moth on each. That would cover up less. But if I heat these and bend them upwards, then I'm going to lose less anyway. Or I could use smaller ones, then I'd lose less. There's quite a nice toning in of colour between those wings and that background, and quite a nice toning in of colour. That's quite enjoyable. Let's have a look at a larger one on each. We've got a similar, yeah, there's similar red things going on in these. Let's have a look at, ooh, look at you. That, I see that's covering up a lot of splotch. And unless you position it very carefully, it's going to cover up the splotches that are matching it. It could go half a moth, half a moth, half a moth, half a moth onwards. In which case it could be the same half moth over on this side. Ah, I'm thinking that could be it. Half a moth, not covering up very much. Let's have a look at you. No, you're a bit too kind of bulky. You've got a really good. So if it's a whole one and a whole one, we're losing a whole lot of splotch. And if it's a small one and a small one, you'll notice I'm gravitating to these places because I think kind of the least interesting splotches are there. So that's sort of where I'm thinking. So that's whole moths, half moth, but really dramatic moth. I think it's that. Right, let's be bold. Let's cut him in half before we change our minds. Come here. He can still be heated so that he bends upwards. I'm going to go, oh, sorry, moth. There we go. And there we go. Okay, yeah. Yep. And in terms of composition, you know the score by now if you've been watching these videos. If you're new here, one goes up, one goes down, one goes left, one goes right. Just that sense of repetition and variation. So they're going on to different backgrounds. That's a variation. But there is repetition of some of the colours in there. Obviously, there's repetition because it's the same moth cut in half. But there's variation because he's in a different position on each of those tags. While I just let that sort of percolate in my head, I'm going to glue down some of these glass baubles. So you may have seen the clock cabochons recently on those bird tags, and lots of people were interested in those. I'm sorry, I don't know where I got them anymore. I think somewhere on eBay. But if you just Google vintage clock cabochon, or you can buy blank cabochons and glue them down onto clock faces in much the same way I'm about to glue these glass pebbles, the kinds you get in for using in vases with dried flower stems and so on. And one of my favourite things to do is just glue them over various bits of paper. So that's a a normal Times New Roman kind of font in dictionary. This is that beautiful Gothic font in another dictionary. This is some music paper. And I just, yeah, I'll just glue a few of them down. You can use any acrylic glue for this, because almost every acrylic glue I've ever met dries clear. But if you start with something clear in the first place, you'll see straight away what it is you're going to get when they're dry. So this is the glossy accents. If you've got other clear glues, by all means go ahead. Just having a listen to see if, no, I think I'm going to have to poke a little pokey thing in there just to clear the nozzle a bit. I can hear a little bit of air travelling, but not much. There we go, hear that? That's hopefully a sign that glue is going to come out. So I'm thinking probably it's 2 on here, 2 on here, 2 on here. Simple as that. And I just generally apply the glue to the glass stone. Pick the bit I want to highlight, quite like that little trio of notes there. And then just kind of scooch it around a little bit as I put it down so that that glue is across the whole surface. Nice. And another musical one. Well, if we've got one little trio of notes, we could have another little trio of notes, couldn't we? I notice here. So a little bit of that. That's a lot of notes there. That's a big old chord. Grand. So just set that aside to dry. Okay, a couple on here. Let's see. There's a thing about a bassoon and a... Oh, we're getting musical here. A bassoon and a clarinet. Okay, well, let's have those. So alto, oboe and English horn. Musical, musical, musical. Why are you dirty? Is that's the top of the pebble that's dirty, stopping me seeing things. Chances are I'm going to spatter in the long run. So we'll live with that. English horn, alto, oboe. Down it goes. And let's see what else we've got here. A lower octave on the double bassoon. Quite like I like that. A lower octave on the double bassoon. Nice. And you can't, I mean, you can partially read those words, but not really. Good. Let's pop those to one side and then let's go in here. What have we got? This appears to be a Latin dictionary. How interesting. It's a German German Latin dictionary. Grand. To do things by hand. Manus, mano. Mano a mano. We all know about that. Are we going to stay? We're going to stay overnight. So moving from hands to staying. Oh, waiting. Look. So let's have... I quite like having a bit of bold and a bit of knot. I think that's going to have quite a nice effect. So I'm going to go here to expect a guest, hostium. Oh, now hang on. Host shifts in meaning. So host here in Czech Republic means a guest, whereas a host in English, oh, excuse my glossy accents. A host in English is the person who receives the guest. And I can't remember in Latin which way round it is. I suspect all is small, omnia minima. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Good, so there's a couple on there. So I'm just going to let those dry, wipe a little bit of glue off that in the hopes that there won't be too much to clear next time around I use the glossy accents. Set those aside. Ah la la, back to you. Okay, time for some stamping. Let's get out all these moths. There's moths everywhere. As long as they're transparent acetate ones, I can cope with that. I'm thinking, no, it's going to be easier to stamp before I do anything with those. I was thinking I might tape them down. This is the Field Notes set, and it's just full of gorgeous little thises and that's. Gorgeous little detail stamps. And one of the ones I want to start with is Orders Attended to Day and Night, which I just love. So just vaguely remembering where you go, grabbing a little grid block. I think sepia is going to be a nice colour on here, isn't it? That's going to be quite good. Ooh, and I'm just thinking with this red, I'm running away from the craft table. Decided at the end to just pause that because I was looking at the inks. So the lesser used inks are over the other side of the room. Sienna might be a bit much on these backgrounds, but I'm thinking the plum might be good, and that's a nice strong colour. So against these busy backgrounds, that's probably going to show up. Acorn, I'm not quite sure why Acorn is over in the lesser used ones, because I'm pretty sure I enjoy it. So let's try Sienna first of all, because it's a tried and true trusted favourite of mine. So let's pop that down. And I think on one of them it's going to go across the bottom, and it just fits on a size 8 tag. Yeah, there we go. Enjoying that. And on the other one it's going to run up the side. Which way up do we want it? I think we want to read it that way up, like so. So again, you'll see in terms of composition, repetition, variation, maybe I want to put a little bit of clear embossing powder on that. Yeah, just to give it a little more tooth, a little more oomph. Let's pop this here. If I'm reasonably speedy, I should be able to achieve it. Where's the clear embossing powder? So a little bit here, a little bit here. And hopefully these inks are dry, because it was a few days ago that I did them. So I'm hoping that's not going to land up everywhere. Grand. So mostly with this stamping, I'm really not going to think too hard. I'm just going to do. I'm going to heat emboss these, and I'll be back in a sec. So that did just give them a bit more presence, and of course when you move it around you've got that lovely light catching glossiness to it. So there will need to be another sepia plus clear embossing powder stamping shortly, but I think I'm going to have a little go with some Acorn just to see what that does for me. I've got a little number stamp, how about that? 3043, I think that says, backwards. So the Acorn should be a lot more present just without embossing powder, so I'm hoping I won't need to emboss this. Hoping that'll, yeah, nice. That's a grand colour, isn't it? Look at that. Why I think it needs to move over to the desk. I think it needs to be part of everyday work. So that's a nice one of those, and I think we might just echo that, because I do love it as a stamp. And I'm going to put one up here, so that's going to be very close to the butterfly, but that's all good. So again, just shifting those positions, getting a different kind of placement, getting a different kind of look. This is a little postmark one, always a grand thing. If it won't stick to the acrylic block, it's probably because it's a little bit dirty, so you can give it a spritz of water, give it a good firm press. Hopefully that's not going to fall off while I'm in the middle of stamping. And I think we'll combine you with that, and we'll maybe combine you with that, and we might do a partial as well coming off here, and a partial coming off somewhere down here. Change the angle. All good. So all of this is really not covering up very much of that background, which is basically what I want to achieve. I want to keep that scrumptious ink splotchy goodness. Maybe some of these, and maybe this is where we'll go back to sepia. So Acorn, thank you very much for your service. Let's have the paper nearby. So these are just little upright numbers, and they're very cute. So again, let's just combine them with maybe here coming up this side, and maybe here right down in the bottom. This is going to be, oh well, maybe we'll go this side with them. No, that's not quite where it wants to. It does want to be here, but it's barely going to show up. But maybe that's quite nice that it barely shows up. Maybe that's a good thing, just hovering subliminally in the background. So these are going to get a little touch of this again, because yes, if it's clear embossed, what it's going to do beautifully when you move the tag is it's going to catch the light, and you'll go, oh, there's another little something going on down there. And that delicious kind of unexpectedness, something that grabs your attention when you thought you were done. Oh look, my acorn is getting embossed now as well. Not to worry, I'm really fine with all of whatever happens here. It's all good. Yeah, down there in that rusty corner, it looks as though those numbers are just kind of, ooh, hovering in the background there. Maybe there's one more little bit of stamping to be done. Maybe something a little bolder. Maybe, I don't think I want condemned. That seems a bit much. Just glancing at what else we've got. I don't know why my field label is upside down. Destination might be nice. Agent 1929. That's good. This side up, maybe. Shipment collect. That's quite nice. Orders attended to and shipment collect have a kind of relationship, so I think that's quite a good one to do. And I think, well, let's have a look, because it is quite bold. Do we want it connected to those? Do we want it doing that somewhere in the middle? Where are you? You're here. So a little reminder for myself of what's going where, and remembering I've got my glass pebbles as an option, I've got photos as an option. Maybe it's to be quite bold about putting it in the middle. Let's go acorn. Inking it up. Yeah, I'm having doubts, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Does it want? Yeah, let's have it. Ooh. There's no escaping it now. Yeah, I do quite like it. So on this side, it needs to not be at the same height as that. So let's go with, yeah, related to this postmark. This side, that side, up, down, middling. Almost never stamp in the middle. That's quite good. So again, repetition and variation, there's that very clear relationship between the two, which I like a lot. And to just kind of get a different thing going on, I'm going to see if I can get this one. So this is a slightly larger round label, and this one I use a lot, so it doesn't want to glue to the grid block. Just a little. You didn't see that. I licked my finger and cleaned the back of the stamp. A spritz of water from the water sprayer would be better. So if I do this, then if I put them together, there's going to be a stamp that lines up in the middle, and maybe I quite like that. But maybe what I'd rather do is, oh, see, I knew it. Okay, proper spritz of water, proper little wipe, stick it down. That's going to need some more ink on. And I'm going to do my stamping at the same time, because frankly, trying to do this one twice is going to be enough of a job. Grand. You know what I want now, don't you? I want the same thing happening somewhere here. So I am going to stamp it twice, and I'm just going to deal with the consequences. It was at that angle, so let's have it at that angle. Grand. Go back there, you go back there. Yes, nice, nice, nice. So really keeping things fairly simple. These should be dry by now. I think these could now be attached, and my favoured mode when I'm right at the edge like that is going to be to get out my tiny attacher and having cut him in half, torture him a little bit further by stapling right into his body, just like that. And again, this side, just see if he's where I want him. I really want this little red patch here showing. Make sure he's lined up with the edge and into the body. There we are. And he'll stay put now, but I'm free to put things underneath his wing, to heat this and have it come up dimensionally, which I am going to do in a minute. Oh, look, the lid's not on that. That's grand. So these curtain hooks, I was sort of thinking would be lovely to just highlight a bit of favourite splotchiness with. I don't know. I was thinking originally that, as with the glass pebbles, I might frame a bit of text with it. But I'm now wondering whether it isn't more fun to highlight a bit of splotchiness or a bit of text. And I sort of want it on the edge because then I could hang something out of the back there, out of the hooky bit that comes in the other direction. That's perfect for hanging up. It's annoying I can't get quite, it's annoying I can't frame the bit I want to frame. But maybe this should go higher up. And what are you framing if you're there? And you could go lower down. What are you framing if you're there? Collect. That's quite nice. In which case you're partially framing that. Let's cut a couple of these out so that we've got an idea of what it's like to have something pale around as well. So an easy tear around to just get it out of the paper, and then it's as simple as trim round, take off the excess, and there you've got a brilliant little embellishment, much like the clock cabochon. Oh, I think I'm going to need 2 of these on each because I love the little highlight that gives you. So let's have the other of these. Well, I've got this book has got thousands of pages. In fact, that one has torn almost exactly to where one wants it to tear. So that's the Gothic text. So maybe we want one of each of the Gothic text. Don't want to stick it over this patch. And maybe do we want the music? Let's have a look at the music. But it might be the non-Gothic text. Might be the other one I want, the sort of tiny Roman font. So just trim that out. That's really old paper, the music paper, so it cuts very, very easily. Enjoying that. Don't worry that these are sticking up and the butterfly's looking quite flat. As I mentioned, we're going to heat him in a minute and open his wings up to flight. Music, music. Quite enjoying that. Do we want these? Kind of, I'm having one of those throw everything at it days. See what sticks, as it were. Not that they've got glue on. See what sticks imaginatively or creatively. Look at it, watch it. So maybe, you know, it might be 3 of these and not the curtain rings today. Where's the other one? Just trimming round. That's another old book page that cuts very easily. If it's up there. I think that's quite a lot going on glass bauble wise. Might be a bit too much, but at the moment I'm sort of enjoying it. If you were to go over the top of the shipment, if you were to go down a bit, I'm just a bit bothered that these 2 are at the same height as each other. Otherwise, no, it's too much, isn't it? It's really too much. So maybe it's one of those. And if yours is up, yours should probably be down. I mean, if yours is down, yours should probably be up. Maybe related to those numbers and related to shipment collection. That's quite good. And what happens then if we hang a curtain hook on it as well? The other thing we could do is some sort of elevation, some sort of glue it onto there. I'm not sure. I'm having second thoughts about the curtain hooks at the moment. But I quite like the randomness of it. Hello, curtain hook. And if I dangle something off the side here, that's going to be really fun, isn't it? And now I'm starting to feel like I want another of these back. So then that gives me 3 round things, 3 round embellishments. I've got sort of essentially 3 stamped roundnesses. I think it could be that, and then we can dangle something there. It might be time to heat emboss the butterfly so he sticks up, and it might be time to glue these onto some cardboard, waste card, so that they've got a bit more durability, a bit more strength, because it's going to be quite heavy by the time they've got two glass baubles on. Just adjusting again. Right, I'm going to glue these onto some cardboard and then come back to make decisions about this, but it's looking close to me. Back in a sec. Right, I've glued these to cardboard. I've glued down, that's just packaging cardboard. As you can see, it's still got its address label. I've glued down these, all just using the same trusty Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. Any acrylic glue will do, because with these, the backing is now paper, so you're basically gluing paper to paper, so getting a strong bond shouldn't be a problem with any halfway decent glue. I'm again just eyeing up these, and I just think it's going to be such fun to hang something off the side that I do want them. But what will give me a clearer idea is now to do a little bit of heating of this butterfly wing. Where's a paintbrush? What I want a paintbrush for is just to not be putting my fingers in harm's way as I heat this. I'm going to use the paintbrush to just hold him up. So once I heat, and you'll see the acetate kind of becomes a little bit floppy and malleable, and as soon as that happens, you can mold it into the shape you want, and then just hold it for a couple of seconds, and it should behave. These I think are thicker than some acetate that I've worked with. They're really good. So hopefully I've just bent that sort of towards the body and up, and then you get that beautiful curve to your butterfly wing, and he's just hanging in there. I want to lift up this bit a bit more as well, so I'm gonna soften it right at the body and get a little bit more of a crease coming upwards. Let that settle. now he's in midair. Yep, there we go. And that really does reveal the splotches again, but then I want him to go back down again. Oh, please don't do this, heat tool. Just let me heat one butterfly wing. Thank you. That's about it. Position it. And if it's not doing what you want it, oh, that's quite nice with the tip of the wing coming up. If it's not doing what you want it to do, you just reheat it and go again. See, the paintbrush is not working for me. I need to put my fingers back in the firing line. Watch yourselves. Heat tools get very hot. Don't burn yourself. I'm quite used to putting my fingers in harm's way because I love to create my floating quotes. So I stamp and emboss my PaperArtsy word stamps onto clear acetate, and then I can float it over the top of the tag. Have we done that yet? I don't think we have. If you'd like to see that, leave me a comment down below, and we can cook up some floating quotes in some tag time, or maybe a few minutes of fun sometime. So that's on this side. Somehow the paintbrush is working to help me. It's glued to the wing. That's not quite sticking up again enough. Bear in mind I've got a stapler here as well. That's quite nice. That's got a lovely curve to it. And as soon as it cools again, it's set in that new position. So that's grand. Yeah, I want to lift up this wingtip. But of course I risk losing the other shaping. Now my fingers really are burning. Oh, what we suffer in the name of art. He's now getting quite crispy at this end, and when it starts to get crispy, it's a sign that you probably don't want to heat it too many more times. But that's a nice bunch of dimension. He's about the same height as a glass pebble, if you can see that, but the curve on him is about at glass pebble height. So let's have a look at this, and let's have a look at this. I don't know if it's just me really wanting to use these now, or whether that's a good thing to have. Let's have a look at them the other way around, because as you know, I like to reposition things and have a look how they go. See, that's in that position, that's really quite fun. When they're close to each other, they're bothering me a bit. So when they're right next to each other like that, that's no good. But as soon as I position the tags like that, I'm quite keen on the idea. Good, let's do it. Let's do it, just as a framing again. So I'm going to just try and aim some glue around this. It's quite heavy, the curtain ring. It's, you know, it's metal, but I'm always on the lookout. Hardware stores, bric-a-brac stores, there's almost always something you can pick up and turn to crafty use. You've got yourself a metal embellishment. It's really very heavy. That one felt even heavier than the first one.
So I trust my glue. Glossy accents is actually another really good one to use. Oh, look, didn't mean to slide it along. So just be aware that glue is wet. So as that glue makes contact with those lovely Distress Ink splotches we've got in the background, it might move them. They might soften or blur. So just, you don't want to get too much glue in their way. So now I'm thinking about things that'll dangle, little Muse tokens, maybe a little bit of chain. I've got some sort of ball bearing chain around. Do I want more in the way of words is my other question at the moment. Oh, look, you can put the butterfly back together. Look at that. I think I do want more in the way of words. And do they go in there? I think it might be quite a simple word sticker because we have got stuff going on in here. That's just highlighting that, that's just highlighting that. Maybe I want to dangle something with twine. There are these little ones. Love a Muse token. I indulged in a new pack in a sale, but I've got them around. That could be quite fun, dangling from there. But that's quite a lot of round stuff. I just didn't need to open the new pack. And maybe a little key and maybe a little thing. That's going to make that heavier and heavier and heavier. So I'm just going to press that down and create a really strong bond. Leave that to dry for a bit and gather some things that might dangle. Back shortly. I found myself a little key, a little padlock, a little leaf, and a couple of cogs. I have got some of this ball bearing chain that I think is a Tim Holtz product, but you can also get it in kind of haberdashers and bag makers kind of places, if such places still exist. Showing my age potentially there. But then I thought maybe what's easier is to wire it, because I noticed a couple of these got really little holes, which is going to mean I'd have to embark on jump rings, and by the time you get into jump rings, everything becomes more complicated. That's my little fastening storage. So I've got long fasteners in the top. Those are from Pan Pastel accessory boxes, and they're really good because you can build a whole tower of them if you've bought lots of Pan Pastel sponges in the past. They're really good storage, except when you don't screw them up properly. There we go. I don't want to get into jump rings. And then also while I was digging around, I came across these quote chips. When I was digging around earlier, I had pulled them out and thought I might quite like them. And I suddenly thought maybe I'm going to lose my thing there. I don't think it's the square one. I think it's the oval one, which means I haven't got any choice about the words. It would have to be those two. I'm wondering about that because that's giving me a third point of lightness, which I think is what's attracting me about it. I've got the two glass pebbles, and as you remember, we did have the third one on each, and I did sort of quite like that. The square one, no. And also I think is a combination of words. I think I like that pairing better than this pairing. Yeah, I think it's that. I think there's just something nicer about the roundedness that is going on these tags. The stamping in the background is giving us square, and that just looks wrong to me. I'm wondering who's screaming at the screen now. No, pick the rectangles. No, I think it's that. I think it's that. It's going to be a risk if I'm not going to glue those down first, because they're just going to fall off while I'm fiddling around with bits of wire. This is not the rusty wire. This is the garden wire I use as garden wire, and it goes out on my sweet peas at the beginning of the year to hold them up and various other things. And then by the end of the season, it's brilliantly rusty. So hopefully I'll never have to buy rusty wire ever again. So I'm gonna dangle these off it and see what I think. And the padlock, so one's got a key and one's got a padlock. That feels nice to me. And just a few cogs and gears to make things work. How far do I want it to dangle down? That's going to be the question. This is why I thought it'd be easier with the wire, because I can just choose. It's quite good if it's dangling Right, and that's why the key has gone this side, because that's got further to dangle because that one's higher up. I think this is all going to hold. I hope this is all going to hold. But if that's enough dangle, I probably don't even need to cut another piece of wire. I could cut this one in half. Where's half? Half is about there. So you stay on that piece. I'm going to cut here. We don't need the giant scissors for that. And hopefully that's still enough dangle to go through here and just twizzle the top. I'm going to leave you there for now while I look at this other side. So key at the back, maybe. The leaf was at the back on the other one, but the key's so sort of full on that I feel like this delicate leaf could go in front of it and not spoil the look. And then finally the gear through one of those holes. There we are, a bit further round. It's got quite sharp edges, this wire, so do watch yourself. I don't want to be responsible for people gouging themselves open with wire. And I think it's going to be as simple as a little twizzle to just fasten that. Sorry. At that height. I might try and trim these wire ends afterwards, but the first thing is to get the twizzle. And I quite like that hanging free. Oh yes, I forgot I hadn't glued that down. That's kind of quite pleasurable. If I tighten it up a bit, it'll hang slightly, maybe. Oh, but that's good, isn't it? Dangling right next to it as well. Okay, twizzling again. Let's hold it still this time. So I'm going to twizzle it shorter. Don't want my thing to come falling off the... Yeah, it's good in relation to that. Is it still good with the... Yeah, just that little cluster of stuff hanging off the edge there. Okay, what happens if we dangle you shorter as well? And with the text. Yeah, okay. Sold. Keep the gear in the front. And twizzle. And then what I might do is just tuck that down the back for now while I'm looking. Trim it later. Key just there. Padlock just there. So this very quick, easy tag. This was going to be a short episode. She sighed despairingly. Hold on tight to your dreams. No, hold on tight to your dreams goes on this one because that's dreamy colours, the blue and the grey. Choose to see the good stuff is the cheerfulness of the green and the rust. Yeah, quite enjoying that. Might need, what do you think? A little bit of spatter, but maybe not white. Maybe more of a koala-y kind of spatter, a soft grey. Or chalk. Chalk might be the thing. And let's do it before we glue those down. So the chalk, where is it? Cloud 9, chalk. Chalk is, yeah, a chalkier colour than the bright snowflake. So it'll just have a slightly softer, warmer, hopefully toning in with those, towards those book pages. It's not as warm as those book pages for that. You'd want something like stone, maybe mixed in with it. But I think I just want a little bit of this going on. Because also if you catch those glass pebbles and you catch that butterfly, it just gives the eye a chance to really see that there's some dimension going on, where the pure glass kind of melts or dissolves and it's like a trick of the eye that it can't quite see what's happening. Just that little touch of white spatter catching the light, and I'm going to spatter onto these embellishments as well. I could have used some foundry wax, I could have used some distress paint, I could have created on these a sort of rusty patina to go with the look of the tags, but I'm actually quite enjoying the naked metal. We might have a look another time at using some distress paint on metal. It's a lovely game to play. You can find Tim doing that all over the place. I'm enjoying that now. Right, time to glue these. And then I need to decide whether to put twine or maybe some wire in the top. Actually, this, I don't need glue on the whole of this, do I? I only need it where it's touching. La la. I love how that sort of fits like a glove into those. Oh, yeah, I think it's better onto there. I can see what I'm doing better. Go on, sit. So I'm going to give those a moment to dry. I'm going to thread, I think, some wire through the top here again, not the rusty wire, the standard garden wire. And then we'll dive in for a close-up. And obviously I'm going to have to do some playing with how I position these. I quite like the butterfly like that. That's really weird, joining him back up. A little bit of positioning like that. But if we were to scooch them round into the other direction, and of course the joy of these is I'm going to need to find a way to display them standing up so those dangles can dangle. Yeah, the dangles can't really shine if they're right next to each other like that. So I think positioning of this particular pair probably is something like this. And also when you take a photograph, it's quite nice if the eye is travelling up the journey. Although that's starting to put that back together again. Look, the dangers of doing double stamping. Grand. I hope you've enjoyed that. As always, I'll put as many details as I can in the description below of the things we've used today, though you'll have to find your own Czech curtain hooks, I'm afraid, your own version of those. I've no idea how you'll track those down. So yeah, leave me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed that. Do subscribe if you haven't already. It'd be grand to have your company on this creative journey. And as always, I welcome your comments and questions down below. I love the conversations we can have below the line. That's really grand. And yeah, just to remind you, if you're enjoying the content here and you'd like to support me to continue sharing, then find the link to go and buy me a coffee, or more likely, saving up to invest in a new heat tool, I think, at this rate. Then that's deeply appreciated, but absolutely and utterly not compulsory. This content is here, it's staying here. There are various ways you can get bonuses. There's an introduction video either already out or coming soon to celebrate the 1-year anniversary, and just explaining a bit about the Buy Me a Coffee stuff. But yeah, the joy is the creativity is here, and we continue to share it. So thank you so much for watching, and happy crafting all. Back again. It's only fair to let you in on the little last minute things that happened. As soon as I put this wire at the top, I needed a little fine pen doodled outline around the tags, drawing the eye in. And then I realized I could add just a little antenna to each of those butterflies. So there you've got a little rusty wire antenna. So when we zoom in for the close-up, you'll see all of that. But I thought it was only fair to let you know what those additions were before you suddenly see them in the close-up and then want to know what on earth went on. Thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting all.